Welcome back to a new episode of Into the Chatterverse, where two gents share their 2 cents on pop media. I am Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm Bill, and I'm apparently worth 1/3 of the gross of every movie.
Nice, not
living
bad.
in the United States and or Canada.
Bad. This episode, I am here to eat crow, and lots of it, because I said I didn't think that Deadpool and Wolverine was going to gross $1 billion. To be fair, I had a very specific criteria for what I thought needed to happen in order for that financial benchmark to be broken, and the movie did not do that. So I think it would have made more money if it did it, but whatever.
Well, the good news is that it hasn't stopped making money.
It has not. It has not.
It's been #1 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Which probably will end with Alien coming out, just because it's a newer movie.
Okay.
I can see that. Even if that makes just $40 million,
right.
I think that would end up beating
Deadpool
Wolverine, because it'd probably have another 40% drop.
That's not bad. That's not bad, though.
No.
Big shout out to Blake Lively for being in the 1 and 2 movie this past weekend, because she rocks socks. So let me tell everybody what I was thinking. Why I didn't think it was going to make $1 billion. What I specifically said was, in the use of Doctor Strange's teleportation bubble stuff, I specifically said that if it did not reference back to Endgame, it wasn't going to hit the $1 billion mark, because I thought that bringing it into Endgame would be the catalyst to make people watch it over and over and over and over again. Especially if you got the opportunity to fit, Hugh Jackman and Ryan into that big battle with Thanos. Not necessarily even that they were monumental in it, but just that they were a part of it.
Yeah.
Would have been enough to make people go, oh my God, I gotta watch this again. Like, that was my rationale and reasoning. I did not believe that the cameos were a strong enough point to make people go back to watch it as many times as they have. And I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, because it comes down to, is it an entertaining movie?
And it was entertaining. Let me openly say that outright, without question. It was very entertaining. Narratively, not my favorite thing ever.
No.
I definitely wanted to connect better to the MCU, more to the MCU, but it was a fun movie. Like, lots of laughs.
I think that's a lot to ask.
Maybe,
from a Deadpool movie, especially the way they're made,
right?
The idea of it being fourth wall breaking and all that kind of stuff.
I could break the fourth wall too.
It's all tongue and yes. There's just because you think of the rest of the MCU movies as serious movies,
yes,
or having a serious tone, I should say, and this has anything but that.
True, very, very true.
And that's the idea.
Right.
I think it was just a matter, as long as it made it fun, it would bring people back. And because that's what they want. They want fun.
They definitely did. We just were going over the numbers of Deadpool 1 and 2, and the amount of success that this has done significantly outweighs them. They capped out at like 785, I think was the highest that we saw. Is that extra
$250 million?
Yeah, is that Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman. I think it's part of it.
Okay.
But it goes back to it being fun.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
And yeah, I've always said that I felt that Hugh Jackman was worth $250 million.
Yeah.
But that was my rationale to make it to $1 billion.
Right.
And it had to be good.
Yeah.
It's not a great movie.
No.
It's good.
It's good. It is very good.
You know, we were around a bunch of people that hadn't seen it.
Right.
And all they kept asking was, how was it? And I said, it's not a great story.
Right.
But it's entertaining.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
If you go for fun, this is that.
Right.
This is definitely that.
Yeah.
Now, to that end, like, we saw it at a press screening. So we had a very interesting, I don't want to say demure crowd, but they were quiet. Like, they weren't necessarily raucous fans, but there was still good, like, laughter from the audience at appropriate points. Was that kind of your telltale of like, this is actually a really fun movie, like, to see how the rest of the audience was reacting to it?
Well, I never put much faith in critics.
Yeah.
Because they can either look at it as this is my job,
right? And they
so I have to take it
super hard,
serious,
right?
just take it seriously, or they can look at it as it's my job, but I'm going to have fun with it. And too many things I've heard about other press screenings where if there are critics in there that are enjoying themselves, the other critics look down upon them.
Rude.
Yes, I'm like, it's not like we're keeping you from doing your job.
Right. Come on. Like, this is part of it. Like, hey, other critics.
Also,
enjoyed it.
I just don't, when there's 400 seats
Right.
and there's only like 30 people in there, I don't really pay much attention to the rest of people unless they're sitting right next to me. And like,
fair.
why are you sitting right next to me?
There are 400 seats here. Move.
Yeah.
No, I get that. Was the movie, in terms of what it gave us in terms of story, was it what you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't looking for anything serious.
Okay. But were you looking for anything specific? Because I don't know that I wanted anything serious, if I'm being honest.
I was looking this. I think the only thing I was really looking for was the chemistry between
I got you.
the two of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have much of a problem with that being a reality that it was going to happen. Like, because
I like that.
the only time outside of social media that I felt that they actually worked well together was the elevator scene and what happened afterwards
Right.
in X-Men Origins, because obviously the fight scene at the end
Yeah.
was muted.
One
way to put it. Muted.
Way to not be mouthy about it.
Yeah,
I like it.
and so especially the way they went after each other on social media.
That was fun.
Over the last 20 years or whatever it is. I felt that this is why I felt it was going to be a $1 billion movie. I mean, those two working together
Was all you needed.
Yeah.
Really. That's fair. That's very fair. I guess that's kind of what my thought process. I thought it was going to be successful without question.
Yeah.
But $1 billion was one that I felt was reserved for movies when they connect to the MCU. They connect in a certain way, right? So like the reason why Spider-Man hit that $1 billion mark was because of the way it connected back to the MCU. We've had other MCU movies that didn't do it.
I don't think that Spider-Man had anything to do with the connection to the MCU.
Was it not Far From Home that did it?
No. I'm not. I'm not saying the. I'm saying that the reason that it hit $1 billion.
Was not the
was
connection.
not the connection to the MCU.
Okay.
It was the fact that they had all three of the Spider-Man.
What I thought that it was. It was that one.
And that they.
I thought it was Far From Home that did $1 billion. I mean, I'm not saying that No Way Home didn't, but I thought Far From Home did $1 billion first.
I don't think it did.
Okay, because I thought it did, and that was like the end of the Disney-Sony agreement, and that's when they had to start looking at renegotiating.
Oh, you're right.
Ooh.
It did make it.
Okay, that's what I thought that was it. Because that was the.
That's coming off of Endgame. Right?
Yes.
That's why. Okay.
Yes, which is what I mean. Like that connection
yeah.
back to the MCU being so staunch.
Yeah.
That's why it did it. Did No Way Home make $1 billion? Now you.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense, but now I want to know which one made more. Oh, that made a lot more. Yeah. That made almost $2 billion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see that getting a re-release.
Oh God, yes. Like
$2 billion.
what?
Yeah, look at that opening weekend. 260.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Eat that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and
I didn't realize it had made that much.
yeah,
Jeez.
that was
yeah.
That was a train. That was a freight
Yeah.
train.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
like I said, that movie worked because the three of them worked well together.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And maybe if you don't like the way they came together, that's fine. I get it. But in the end, the three of them worked well together.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait. When does Venom 3 come out?
Soon.
I would re-release this either right before or with it, because that'll give you $2 billion for sure. And steer me if I'm wrong. If you did that that could potentially make up for any sort of loss that Venom 3 might financially get hit with, because that re-release, you're just making money on top of money with No Way Home, unless there's some behind the scenes things that I don't know about. But I would do that to mitigate any sort of loss. That
my
Venom
thing
does.
about that is that I don't think that Sony needs to have permission from.
I didn't think so either.
From Disney to release it.
No, that's their distribution piece. But especially because, if I'm not mistaken, the symbiote drop thing at the end of No Way Home is what this one is picking up, right? The symbiote that's found and something like that.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it.
We know it's coming out in October.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be a very smart, like, let's re-release it, make some more money, and then whatever this does, whatever. Because that would be smart as hell. Okay, so going back to Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm trying to remember, have I said on the show what I wanted to have happen?
It doesn't matter. I mean, you can repeat yourself.
I'll tell it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, Ryan and I came up with this one, and I can't remember who came up with what, so that's why I say we both did this one. The idea was that Deadpool somehow is in the MCU. No explanation desired nor required. He just is. And he goes to a showing of Rogers. And in this showing, it's in the Canadian provinces. And so for whatever reason, Hugh Jackman is in the play. And so when he sees Hugh Jackman, he's like, Logan? And he kidnaps him because he believes that he has been already brainwiped, and he's trying to remind him that he is the Wolverine. But he's actually just Hugh Jackman throughout the whole movie. That's what I wanted to have happen, because I thought it would be silly enough, like definitely ridiculous, but at the same time giving like a lot more connection to the greater MCU, and not just not that I don't want to spoil this movie if there's anybody that hasn't seen it, but the connection that they had to the greater MCU was cool, but I wanted more. I wanted something a little bit more direct. And not that TVA isn't, but Rogers would be.
I could have done without TVA.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I did not love them. They could have been anything.
Yeah.
Literally could have been anything.
Yeah.
So
if that version came out,
yeah,
that would not make $1 billion.
Fine, I guess.
No, because it's when I say Hugh Jackman.
No, you're absolutely right. I totally
I'm
get
talking
that.
about Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, what I would have done with the Wolverine side is that we would have been introduced to who the MCU's Wolverine is going to ultimately be.
Which I think is
I know you don't want to bring a Wolverine into
No,
it.
I mean, if it's not going to be Hugh Jackman, don't bring Wolverine back for a while. For like 10 years.
Right.
At least 5 years.
That's why, at least in this regard,
Yeah.
it would have been 7 years since we had Wolverine. Right?
Yeah,
That's
but
when Logan came out.
But the problem there is that you're reminding people
that he was Wolverine.
Oh, you kind of reset the clock.
Okay.
Because then you had to deal with all the disappointment.
Of him.
Oh my God! You had
Wolverine, but he's not.
You had
Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman, but he couldn't play Wolverine. Why? Why
are we this way?
Why are you doing
we are
this
this way,
me?
aren't we, fans? Aren't we? Okay, that's fair. Out of the cameos that were a hilarious part of this movie, did you have a favorite?
Cavill.
Yeah, Cavill was great.
And a close second would be Chris Evans.
Okay. All right. Why? I mean, Cavill is understood. Why Chris?
Because he came back as Human Torch.
Okay.
And I was only slightly disappointed that Michael Jordan wasn't in it. I would have loved, because I have always felt that those two should come back.
Yes. And have a moment.
Yeah.
Have a moment. I'm not going to lie. If Michael B. Jordan was in this one and him and Chris had that moment, I would have been pissed, because we didn't get it between Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch. And I wanted that so bad we've talked about this, where something happens and they both go, no shit, Sherlock, and then look at each other.
Yeah.
Come on, it's corny, it's goofy. If you know, you know.
Except
Yeah.
The two Human Torches facing off would make more sense because they were in the Fox universe.
Yes, and that's both failed.
Well, that's basically what this was about outside of the Blade.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
Which is apparently the only Blade we're ever going to get. Just ask him. He said so.
No, it's
I'm
true.
the only one.
That's what he said. Stop trying to ice skate uphill.
I enjoyed the cameos, but and it's hard to call them cameos.
True,
because that's
a very good point.
Cavill was a cameo.
Yes, because that was a flash in the.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the narrative per se.
Right.
It was just there.
It was there quick.
Yeah.
It would be just like the best cameo ever, which was in First Class.
You're saying the best cameo of a Marvel movie ever, because that is not the best cameo ever.
What's the best cameo ever?
That would be in Maverick. Absolutely in Maverick, where he goes into the bank to collect his money from the bank manager, and then the bank gets robbed for real, and it's Danny Glover, and they pull, like, he looks like he recognizes him, and he pulls down the mask, and he like looks, and they both look at each other, and they go, nah, and then they come back, no, that's the best cameo ever. Come on.
No. I enjoy that cameo.
Yeah.
But even when you said Maverick, that wasn't even the movie I was thinking of.
Oh, dang. Oh. You went Top Gun?
I was like, Top Gun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dang it. All right, fair.
No, I've always felt that was a really good use of him.
That was a great use of him.
And
because I don't even like that movie, but I love that part.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And he gets the F-bomb in there, and it still remains PG-13.
Solid.
But yeah, everything else, they were a part of the story.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
But to be honest, it wasn't until I knew that Daphne Kane was in the movie that I actually got excited about the movie.
I get that.
I loved her in Logan.
She was amazing.
And I would have liked her to have kept some of her accent.
Well,
which also, it makes sense that she kind of lost it because she got older.
Yeah.
But,
it happens. Was there a disappointing feature of these characters in there that popped up? Like, I'm not going to lie, Tyler Mane disappointed me. I wanted that to be more substantial.
I was fine with what it was because I would have preferred Liev Schreiber.
I agree. See, okay. So this is why we're friends. I would have preferred that too. At the very least, let Tyler like step up like he's gonna do something, and then Liev like kind of pulls back like no.
I got this,
like that's mine. That would have been amazing to me.
It was fine.
Yeah,
it was callback. That's I'm okay with that.
I wanted more.
That's fine.
Yeah, because I feel bad for Tyler Mane. Like was supposed to be a 9-picture deal for him.
I have no idea.
But I want to say that's what I read like a bajillion years ago, and he got one movie. And I'm not even saying like he was great in it. He was fine. But he got one. Like, come on. He should have been there. Lot more than that. That's all right.
There was someone else in an MCU movie that only got one movie.
In an MCU movie?
Yep.
Who are you talking? Who specifically? Because I'm like running through a bunch of different people.
I'll just give you the movie.
Okay.
Iron Man.
That's cold.
He was supposed to be in more than one movie.
He definitely was. But at least his character continued. Does that count? Like,
which also comes back to he was replaced, but you can't replace T'Challa. That's a different. There's some. I understand the importance of the character.
No. That argument does not hold for me. They should have replaced T'Challa. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I understand it, but
no.
The movie would have worked so much better if it had T'Challa in it.
Yep.
And they wouldn't have to shove all this other stuff in there. And they wouldn't have a guy who says his name is Namor and everyone calling him Namor.
Because that's his name. His name is Namor. Although I did like that explanation for where the name came from. I thought that was clever to
Yeah.
call him No Love. That's clever, but it's Namor. Yeah. Channing Tatum was one of my favorite parts of this movie. One, Gambit is my favorite character of the X-Men universe, and that was a great moment of, hey, here's your send off. Like, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think the fan reaction to him has been hilarious, especially in the movie where Deadpool doesn't understand what he's saying.
Right.
Like, and it's so funny because the many times that I've gone down to New Orleans, that is the accent, like, without question.
Well, I loved it from the standpoint that they did a comic accurate
Yes.
version of it, and it looked awful. And I wasn't like, I enjoyed the Wolverine costume until he put the helmet on.
That was weird.
The eyes were,
the eyes didn't function like Deadpool's eyes. Like, they just stayed static.
it just was just weird to me.
Yeah.
I liked the effort.
Yeah.
Even if he never put the helmet on, it looked good
Mm-hmm.
outside of the shoulder pads, because I don't understand why he needs shoulder pads.
Well, in the books, he's short, and so the shoulder pads make him seem a little tall. I got nothing.
Anyway, it's kind of like recreating Superman and putting him in armor. Doesn't need armor.
He doesn't need armor
And actually, I would think that anything like that would get in Logan's way
because he can't move.
Yeah, because
like
he can't
wants to.
move.
That's
No,
fair.
I think that, outside of Wesley Snipes looking a little old,
Yeah.
which he's
He
in his
is.
60s.
He is.
So
Yeah. No, I get
it's
that.
going to happen. I thought everything worked well.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the TVA, I mean,
Right.
and it just never worked for me. I understood the idea behind it and
Mm-hmm.
everything, but I think they went too heavy into it.
I can see that. I think the true misstep of opportunity was in the casting for Cassandra Nova. And I didn't think so before until I saw all over the internet that they should have cast James McAvoy. And it was like, because at first you're like, oh, that's just silly. But then they pointed out how in Split, one of his personalities is female,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulls off mannerisms so well that you're like that's a woman, like, right there. And how funny it would have been to have McAvoy come back, shave his head, and play Cassandra, and just be this brilliant presentation of why does she look like Chuck? And it's like, because that's his twin, and it just would work on so many different levels. That was one where I thought the internet was actually better, absolutely, than what this movie was. Not that she did a bad job. She did a great job, but that would have made it.
I mean, it could have worked,
Yeah,
but I was fine.
that's what I mean. It was
Yeah.
one where you're like, it's fine, but wow, that's an opportunity that would have been amazing. Because apparently McAvoy said that he would have come back to play a Charles or something, but nobody asked him. And that was one where I'm like, I'm sure once the internet started saying that, like, everybody in production had to be like, we missed it. That's one we missed.
Well, with the exception of Blade,
Mm-hmm.
everything in there was a failure.
Right. Which,
Even you could even say, because the third Blade was awful.
that movie came out? Did it?
Well,
Did it?
that's how Ryan Reynolds
What?
knows Wesley Snipes.
Do they know each other? I think they just met on set just now.
And apparently they had a feud, which
Yeah, they did. For a
which
long
they
time.
said that they never did.
Wesley was feuding with everybody at the time. He owed taxes. It was tough. Okay, it was rough. It was rough. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now you show him with David Ayers or Goyer.
Well,
Goyer, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
but-
then I want to see that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
but
amazing.
I just don't care when it comes down to it.
It doesn't. matter.
If there was a problem, it's
Yeah.
it's gone.
Fair.
Let's put it that way.
Fair.
But if so the idea is that Elektra
Yeah.
was a failure.
Yeah.
I guess X-23 really wasn't a failure.
No, but
Um,
I mean, it was an end.
Yeah.
So
And Fantastic Four was a failure.
right.
And Gambit never got off the ground.
Failed exquisitely.
So, you know, it just... Like, I like the idea of McAvoy being in there, but also...
You're fine with it not.
Yeah.
I get that.
They could have thrown in more cameos. I mean, obviously, they tried to get Nicolas Cage.
Right.
And he wasn't interested. And they got a flat-out no from Robert Downey Jr.
Did they really?
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not interested. And they're like, oh, okay.
All right.
And
wow,
they had no idea.
That's funny.
Yeah. They didn't know that.
I wonder, okay, when he said no,
He
did
knew.
he know? Oh, okay, I was going to say, like,
He knew.
That's, well, that's classy,
Or
I suppose.
He may not have known that he was coming back, but that's probably when they started talking about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, you know, when you hear the Russos are in talks.
Right.
It's like 95% done.
They had them talks already. Yeah.
It's when, you know, when you don't hear anything. The amazing thing is that you can speculate all you want that, oh, you know, wouldn't it be great if Robert Downey Jr. played Dr. Doom? No one knew that.
No, not at all.
Like, everyone knew at some point in time he was going to come back. And it, you know, we even talked about it like weeks before we went out there, but we didn't talk about it like right then.
No, not at all.
And I even like kicked myself. I'm like, I knew he was going to be here. I don't even know why I didn't even say he's going to be here. But, you know, something like that, it wasn't like on Friday, you know, they signed the Russos, and on Saturday they're talking to Robert Downey Jr. about coming back. No, this is in the works for a while. This stuff, you know, the fact that it was behind scenes as long as it was. And I think even like when the Russos came out and said, hey, we would like to do more Marvel
come
movies.
Back. Yeah.
And then Feige saying, thanks, but no thanks.
Right. Wink and a nod.
Yeah, that was they were in talks. And, you know, Feige's got to be like,
playing the game.
I've got my guys.
Yeah.
I've got my story.
Thank you, guys. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
But also, I go back and I say, if I have to make movies back to back in a year,
that's exactly who you want to do.
Yeah. If Peter Jackson's not available,
they're the next best.
Yeah,
truthfully.
I mean, guys,
because they. And arguably, I would pick them over Peter Jackson because I think they're movies.
I would too, because as much as I love Lord of the Rings, I feel the exact opposite about The Hobbit. But also his.
Oh, I can see that.
But that's a bad situation all around. And I don't know if that he would actually work well with Feige, because I think
he has too many ideas of his own. Of
yeah,
what he would want.
yeah, and I think that a lot of directors probably have turned down Feige because of that. And it's nothing against him.
No,
it's just that they work a certain way and he works a certain way.
No, Edgar Wright, same thing. Like that's
because Edgar Wright had an idea and it was gonna work until
it didn't match with what Feige wanted to do.
Yeah. And you know, Feige always seemed to pivot when he needed to, and you know. And it's not like they were like, screw you, I'm leaving. Right. It was like, okay, that's not what you wanted to do.
All right, cool. Yeah. Got you. I'm going to do this other thing.
We came up with this concept. Yep. And they used the concept.
Yes, they did. So, which is a nice shout out.
Yeah.
Nice shout out.
And when, you know, you hear people talk about studio interference, that's Kevin Feige.
That's Kevin. And that works.
Is that interference, or is that he has a story in mind? And he wants that story told.
I think that's the important part to understand, is that it's not interference when that is his job.
Yeah.
Like, there's people that think that the producers just throw money at a situation, and then when they come in and go, well, I paid for it, so I get to say. No, he is coming in saying, I have a plan that I'd like to see you execute.
Yeah.
Can you execute this plan?
But he's not just the producer.
Right.
He's the head of the studio.
Right. Which is...
Right. And... you can say what you want to say about him, but he's pretty successful.
Quite successful.
As opposed to the person that's involved with Lucasfilm.
Well,
they are, and she's very successful.
Yes.
But I'm going to argue that if the very first movie that she puts out as a studio head makes over $2 billion, that bar is very high.
That is very high.
And it's been lowered to $1 billion.
Which you have to ask the question of, did it make $2 billion because of the story you set out to tell or the franchise you were playing with? Because those are two very different things. And I think the lowering of that bar says the truth.
Yeah.
It was the toys you were playing with, not what you wanted to do.
Right. Because I think anyone can recognize that The Force Awakens was A New Hope.
Yes.
Which is okay.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
And it brought the fun back to Star Wars.
Right.
The problem was the overall story wasn't there.
That's true. It's true. So one of the things that I thought was a very interesting non-phenomenon for this movie is the lack of statement that either Wolverine nor Deadpool will return. And do you have any thoughts to that? Because technically speaking, they go back to their timeline, not the sacred timeline. Is this done? Is that possible?
I think that for sure Deadpool will be back.
Okay.
But not in a Deadpool movie.
Okay.
I think he'll be back. I don't think he'll be in Avengers. I think he'll end up being in some sort of mutant.
Gotcha.
If it's not the X-Men, it's like an offshoot of something like that.
Okay.
And I could be wrong about the Avengers part. He could be like in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Apparently, he said over and over again that if Blake didn't allow him to make this movie, because they have kids together, and he doesn't want to be, deadbeat dad,
constantly gone, always on the road.
And a movie like this takes a long time to make.
It does.
So it essentially is up to her.
Got you.
He probably doesn't want to put that kind of pressure on her.
Certainly not.
Though she might not be the type of person that has a problem saying no.
I mean, very true. But also, I mean, you're talking a $1 billion plus movie. Is it possible that he goes, babe, we set up our legacy here forever and ever and ever? Or are you saying that that's already established? And so she's like, nah, we're not doing it.
I'm sorry. How much money did you make selling your gin company? How much money did you make selling your phone company? And how much money are you making with your production company?
Is he a billionaire on his own?
Easily.
Okay.
Easily.
All right. So then, she's like, you're done. You're done.
What? And, it could just be that, they take a step back.
Right.
There could be times when she doesn't want to do anything other than be with the kids. And
that's fair.
It could be, hey, if there's something you want to do, now's the time to do it. But also, it took them a long time to come up with the story.
That's true.
They went back to Feige over and over again. And he,
right.
And they were, according to them, they were about ready to give up and just say, maybe we need to wait. When Hugh was just like,
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I don't think that Hugh Jackman is done. I think he had too much fun making this movie. And I think that even if it's like a small role in Secret Wars, I could see that happening. I know he hates the working out.
Right.
He really hates, 6,000 calories a day eating. But I think that if he's having fun,
it matters.
And also, he can still get in that shape now.
Yeah. And that's impressive.
Yeah. In 10 years, I don't know he can do that.
Right. And so now would be the time to, at the very least, put a bunch of stuff in the can if you can, because you don't know. So I agree with that 1,000,000%. Overall, if you had to rate it, obviously making $1 billion, it's financially doing very well. But what is your grade for Deadpool and Wolverine if you had to give it one?
Well, it's my favorite Deadpool movie.
That's fair.
Not a great story. I would, 7, 8 out of 10.
All right. No,
I mean,
it's a B minus for me. That's what I was going to give it. So.
It's good.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it again. I will watch it again. Like I couldn't say that about Deadpool 2.
Fair. I got you.
I enjoyed the first Deadpool. But there's a lot in this. Obviously, story-wise,
not so much.
Not
but
so
I mean,
much,
there's calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had fun with it.
Yeah.
So it would be definitely a movie I would go back to over and over again. If anything, just to fall asleep to.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
I do think that a re-release is in its future, because there is a key element from the movie that I hope that we get to see, which is that Logan's descent into madness and berserker rage when he killed a bunch of people. They talked about it, but they didn't show it. And I feel like a version that shows it could be phenomenal, especially if they go as far as to suggest that the people that he goes up against are heroes that we have not seen him interact with. I want that very, very badly. And it doesn't even have to be huge. I mean, it could literally be borderline Age of Ultron, the aftermath battle type stuff where people are just laid out and dead or whatever, but show him fighting these different characters. That would be everything for me. And I think that would add more than a few $1 million to the success rate of this one.
Well, I think if you're going to do something like that, February, but that's hard to do because you're going up against Captain America.
Right.
Maybe further down the road, like before.
For Thunderbolts in between?
I'm thinking more Doomsday.
Okay. All right.
Before, because like we know Fantastic Four are going to be in the next two Avengers movies, but we don't know who else is.
True.
So
we don't have anything from Marvel Studios in November of 2025. So if they did it then, that's a slate filler. Doesn't necessarily cost you anything if they've already shot it. And
well, there's adding it. Well, if they've shot it,
yeah,
is one thing. Adding the special effects is completely different.
That's definitely.
Now, I'm not saying they're going to spend $70 million on this.
I would hope not.
I don't. They could spend 10 to 15 million, 10 to 20 million dollars, depending.
Yeah.
And then there's advertising on top of that.
Sure.
And so they probably have to recoup somewhere in the 50 to $60 million range to make it worthwhile. But to be honest with you, as much as I think that would be great in the theaters, it'd probably be even better for Disney Plus.
All right. I can see that, because you definitely you're gonna have some people watching it. Yeah. For that, for sure.
Also, that being said, you're not gonna recoup the money.
That is true. So,
so it would be one of those things where they go, here's your 2-week window,
right,
and then a month from now it's going to be on Disney Plus,
gotcha.
Which I wouldn't have a problem with, because you're re-releasing something. It's not like a first. It's not really.
You're not competing amongst this.
It's not a first run move.
Right.
So the small window with it going on streaming.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
I like it. Well, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. We definitely want to hear your thoughts, so comment down below, like and subscribe, all that goodness. Thank you for tuning into the Chatterverse. Once again, I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm Bill, and I'm somewhere between the comic book and the movie version of Wolverine as far as height goes.
Somewhere in between? And same actually. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.